Hello, my friends. My name is Mansour, and we will be today learning the mathematical basic terms in English, and the blueprint of logic translating mathematics into English. Go. The first slide is consists of the four pillars of arithmetics. We can see the symbols, the operation, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And what about the addition? The verb is to add, and the spoken format is 5 plus 5 equals, or 5 and 5, and so on. Then the terminology is a dense sum of total. What about subtraction? The verb is to subtract 40 minus 25 is the spoken format, and the terminology is minuend, subtrahend, and difference. Multiplication, the verb is to multiply. The spoken format 6 multiplied by 7 equals, or 6, 7 times is, and so on. And the terminology is factor, multiply, or product. And the next is division. The verb is consists of to divide one, and the spoken format we can say 1000 divided by 2 is, and so on. And the terminology is dividend, divisor, quotient, and remainder. The next slide is consists of reading equation like code, the syntax of math, and we can see this the tasks 5 plus 5 and equals 10. The first five is nouns, inputs, the physical numbers acting as objects or objects, and the second five is verbs or operators, the symbols dictating the action. And after this, we write the equal, and after this, we write the results or outputs, the final yielded state. And the next slide is the same of last slide, but this we have a minus, and uh, 14 minus 25 equals to 15, and the 14 is minuend. After this minus, the 25 is subtrahend, and we can say equals or is the statement of equality, and after this we have a difference, the resulting gap between the two numbers. And the next slide is the same, also same the last slides, but we have this of the anatomy of division. The first we can say 1000 divided by 2 equals to 500. Um, the thousand is divided, and after this we write or we can say divided by to divisor. How many parts to split into, and after this we can say to equals to quotient, and the result of these tasks. And grammar note, we can say 1000 divided by 2 is 500. Explicitly note that 100 does not take in this format, not hundreds. The next slide, special foundations from points to plans. Um, this slide we can say the elements, for example, points, or we can say dot, line, segment, and angle. And we can say 2D elements. For example, ellipse, triangle, square, ellipse, square, rhombs, circle, rectangle, trapezium, and so on. And polygon node, pentagon, hexagon, and decagon. The next slide. The next slide, we can see dimensional shift translating 2D plans into 3D volumes. Adding the third dimension fundamentally changes the core or noun used to describe the shape in English. Um, the first part of the first half of the slides, we can see flat, for example, square, rectangle, circle, and triangle. And the second half of slide, we can see the volume. It's 3D volumes. The first half is 2D, and the second half is 3D. And we can say the cube, sphere, cylinder, and the pyramid and cone. The second slide is consists of the anatomy of physical space, and we can see um, the volume of and it consists of its area and the width, length, height, the perimeter, and so on. We can now volume is consist of multiplying by height, length, and width. Area is it consists of multiplied by width and length. And the next slide, the last slide, the universal truth of numbers. Um, the underlying logic requires no translation. Master the syntax, learn the vocabulary, and you unlock the ability to communicate universal mathematical truths anywhere in the English-speaking world. Don't worry, be happy and speak mathematically. Goodbye.